$100 million a year. If these people had been tried in federal court and either convicted or acquitted, the prison would have been shut down by now and all this nonsense would have been over with. But his passion for torture, and I got to believe that the torture was animated by his sidekick, Dick Cheney.
Oh,
Their passion for torture is what has destroyed their ability to prosecute people as to whom the evidence of guilt is overwhelming, but they can't present it in a court because the defense will consist of documents showing that Bush and Cheney personally approved of the torture.
You know,
that's the mess they've created.
The fanaticism, you write here, the fanaticism of George W. Bush, under whose incompetent watch the attacks of 9/11 occurred and who killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis to produce regime change because Saddam Hussein, quote, tried to kill my daddy, continues to haunt and demean the American judicial system. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cares about it. You know,
the government operates by fear and hatred. So for 10 years, we were told to fear Muslims and hate Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And there's been hatred all throughout history. The object of our hatred now, according to the government, is Putin. But the hatred of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is gone. He killed 3,000 people. The government doesn't care if he's tried or not. So it's government by fear, government by hatred, government by people who take an oath to uphold the Constitution and don't give a damn about it.
You know, when all that was starting with Bush Sr., with the lies about the first Iraq War. Oh, remember they were taking those, going into hospitals and killing babies in incubators? Remember that lie?
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what I wrote about when this started happening? I called it the next crusade. We were taught to hate the Muslims. It was a crusade.
Yeah, it was a crusade. Yes.
And look what's going on now with Ukraine. Oh, it's great to take all of, you know. And again, we both are totally against Putin's invasion, totally against it. But how they champion taking in refugees from Ukraine, but no refugees from all the people you slaughtered in Iraq, in Libya, in Syria, in Afghanistan. Hey, they don't count, man. They're a different shape and size, you know?
Yeah.
The hypocrisy.
I think that I hear in the distance the drumbeats of war. I think the Republicans in the Senate and many of them in the House share the vision that slipped out of President Biden's mouth about regime change in Russia. There were even intimations about the reinstitution of the draft, God forbid, which you and I know is slavery. It's unfortunately still on the books. And I hear those drumbeats and they terrify me, Gerald. You and I can't even imagine. You have spoken and written about this, what World War III would be like.
It started. And you know, Judge, this is important. There's no peace candidates out there.
No.
The people don't want this war. It's the media that's selling it. Again, you know, day after day showing the destruction of what's going on in Ukraine. They never did this showing day after day America's mass destruction of Iraq. Day after day, America's mass destruction of Afghanistan. Day after day, NATO's illegal destruction of a place that used to be called Yugoslavia. Day after day, NATO's destruction of Libya, Iraq, Syria, one after another. Oh, and nobody talks about that low-life piece of scum Blinken, that arrogant boy. You remember when Obama started he didn't start it. The Saudis announced that they were going to attack Yemen from Washington, D.C., back in March of 2015. That's where their ambassador announced it. And the American press says Blinken is going to Saudi Arabia to help them with intelligence. Intelligence?
Blinken is a very, very powerful person today because the president is off his rocker. Blinken is running foreign policy. He's the ultimate globalist. And according to Phil Giraldi and Colonel McGregor, he's the one that wants regime change. Where did the government blow that? They would have been better off if they hadn't said anything. Every time they tried to dial back what slipped out of Biden's mouth, they made it worse. They continued the news cycle.
Could you imagine when the Iraq war was going on, the Syrian war, and the Afghan war, if Putin said, Obama has to go, he shouldn't be in office, Clinton shouldn't be in office, Bush shouldn't be in office. Could you imagine if the Russians were saying this because of America's war record? Oh, then it would be terrible.
Well, America's war record is obviously far worse. If you just look at Iraq, 850,000 slaughtered by Bush because Saddam tried to kill my daddy. We know there were no weapons of mass destruction. Phil Giraldi knew that. He was one of the lead CIA agents involved. He said to the White House, if you don't stop with these lies, I'm out of here. They